as technological advances increase, more and more leisure is supposed to be becoming available to us. Not too many people are thinking about it and what it's going to mean to us and how we're going to spend that leisure time. But one of the people who has been thinking about it for quite some time, and in fact has written this particular book about it, is Robert Lee. The title of his book is Religion and Leisure in America. And he's here with us now. Bob, how much free time are we going to have? You know, we have ideas that there's going to be scads of it.
Be certain of is that the future, as far as leisure goes, presuming we do survive for the future ain't what it used to be. We're going to have undreamed of existence in which there will be much more leisure than we even are experiencing now. For example, one of the ways to answer this question is to project from our past experience. And we know that in the past, ever since the year 1900, ever since the turn of the century, there has been a reduction in the work week of 4 hours per decade.
Every 10 years?
Every 10 years, 4 hours per decade for the industrial worker. So at the current rate of development, it'll mean by the year 2000, leisure 2000, we will have something like 20 or 25 hours of work per week for the industrial worker.
Isn't it a fact that some electricians have a 20-hour work week now?
Some groups already are experiencing this. Electricians, the rubber workers, and this is part of the bargaining contract for labor unions in the future.
How are they handling this kind of leisure now?
That is the key problem, is whether or not we can cope with the new leisure society. And some of the groups are experimenting. For this electrician union you mentioned, it has founded a new center, a kind of continuing education center for their men out in Long Island in New York. And their men go there for weekends and during the evenings and so forth. And there are all kinds of programs that are prepared for them. Other labor unions have conducted tours. For example, right now, if you're in steel or a number of the unions, you are eligible for a 13-week sabbatical, what we in the academic circles might call sabbatical period. You're eligible for a 13-week leave with full pay if you've worked for 15 years.
13 weeks?
It's true of Teamsters, of steel, and auto. And for 13 weeks. So at first, of course, the workers had great difficulty. One worker said to me, for example, why, I can't stand being around the house with the old lady 24 hours of the day. So what the labor unions have done is to try to structure this time, hopefully not regiment it, but structure it to some degree. And several of the unions have now planned these group tours, either to Africa or the Caribbean or South America, and some of these tours take up as much as 12 and a half of the 13 weeks. And of course the men come back quite refreshed and quite changed. And
what about the women?
The women go along with them.
And this must pose problems for the children and having them looked after. And
well, if you've worked, see, here's one of the situations we're encountering, that for 15 or 20 years of work now, the children have grown up and they've left the home. And the man and the woman have to face each other squarely again for the first time in many a moon. And so I think that we're learning to live together with each other as man and wife in this new leisure society. That's one of its blessings, perhaps.
It's quite a risk to put them together for so many hours a day right off the bat like that.
Yes, there's another story along this line where a Southern California aircraft parts factory began, again, this 20-hour work week already right now. This particular company tried to experiment with it. And at first the thought occurred to the men that the millennium had arrived.
Yeah.
Gee, you work 20 hours a week and you get the same amount of pay? Why, that's the life of Riley.
Yeah.
Then, of course, all kinds of difficulties occurred just at this point of man and wife relationships, because the wives found the men at home at all these odd hours of the day, and they were getting under each other's foot. They were not accustomed to seeing the men at home, the wives. So the wives subjected to the men to all kinds of chores around the house, you know, like beating the rug and painting the picket fence and so forth. They subjected the men to what we call the honeydew days, you know, honey do this, honey do that.
Yeah.
And so the men, in order to escape from this burden, in order to escape from this presumably
Want to go
freedom
back.
of leisure, they went back to the plant and asked for more work to do.
What about the woman herself? Is there some significant development likely to happen in the future that's going to provide her with more time?
Quite so. I think we have all these labor-saving devices, not only in the factory and in the office, but surely in the home.
You were telling me something about pregnancy, though, and the
Yes.
length of time this
Mm-hmm.
takes.
It is now, at least experimentally, feasible for a woman to conceive a child and at the end of 1 month go to a hospital and have a fetal delivery, and then come back and pick up that child at the end of the 9 months period, you see. And for some of the women who find that pregnancy is a difficult period, it kind of puts them out of circulation, and it culminates in labor,
Yes.
you see. For some of the women, they find this quite a blessing. They can devote more time to their career, to their own
You're not
self-fulfillment.
endorsing this, are you?
No,
As
I'm
a
not.
professor of ethics.
No, I'm not advocating this at all, but,
Uh-huh.
but what we're pointing to is by the year 2000, that these and other things, rather miraculous things of this sort, we will be, it may be a reality.
You're talking about a sleep machine?
A sleep machine is also a possibility of a sleep machine in your future, whereby you can plug in and gain an 8 hours full, restful sleep period in just 2 hours. And think of the implications
Yeah,
of this
I'm
for
doing
free
already.
time.
Yeah, so so we're getting the possibility of increased leisure from reduction in work, and we won't have to spend as much time sleeping.
That's right, and earlier retirements, which are being encouraged now. You can retire in a number of labor unions at the age of 55 now. Longer lifespan,
Yeah.
you see.
And you were talking, I think you're an advocate, aren't you, of the fact that leisure homes are becoming a necessity?
That's right. Well, you know, it's curious how in North America some things that were a luxury
Yeah.
then move almost very rapidly into the area of necessity, so that what was yesterday a luxury is tomorrow a necessity.
it.
And I think that the second home, particularly around lakefronts, around ski lodges and so forth, the second home is becoming increasingly, the leisure home is becoming a necessity.
We're drawing a conclusion from this, at least I am, that leisure is free time.
It's not necessarily that. In the book, I try to point out that free time is only potentially leisure time. That free time must be converted into leisure time. Because you see, free time can lead to idleness. Free time, it might be said, is the most potent fertilizer for idleness. And idleness is the very death of leisure. There are a lot of people who have enforced idleness,
Yes.
illness in hospitals and so forth, and they are not at leisure. There's great anxiety and tension there. They are not at all at leisure. So free time is not to be confused with leisure time. Free
No.
time is only potentially leisure time.
Are you saying you can be at leisure in your work?
Yes, because leisure comes in the moment. You see, it's the attitude, it's the perspective that we bring to life. It's not so much a period of time, whether it be free time or after work time, as it is a state of mind. So it's that moment, that pause, as it were, that refreshes. It's that shaft that illuminates and brightens up the landscape of our life. you see. And if we've said what it is not, it's not simply this free time, because for many of us, particularly those people in the professions, executives and so forth, they don't know when their work time ends and their leisure time begins.
No.
There's no clear point of demarcation here between the beginning of one and the ending of another. So I would say that if you want to find the real significance, the true authentic meaning of leisure, then we must look back to the derivation of the word from particularly the Latin and the Greek. And you know, in Latin and Greek, the word is skole and scola. In Latin, it's scola. And of course, a bright person like you could immediately deduce that that is our contemporary word for school. So that a real clue to the very meaning, the essence of leisure, is that leisure is part of the learning process. It's part of our schooling. And I don't mean schooling in